Hello, it's Jeremiah Small from Soliant Consulting. In this part of the feature tour, we're just going to talk about the various ways that you can configure a bundle before you deploy it. There's a much more extensive discussion, kind of a long form description of what a bundle is and the anatomy of a bundle. So in this video, we're going to build on that. So we're going to return to our Hello World example, which is nice and simple. It makes it easier to look at on screen. This one is the original locked version. That's why we had created a new version of this Hello World, which is unlocked, and now we can actually make changes to it. So if I, for example, have now tested this one on Windows and I want to mark that it is Windows tested, I can just check that box, and that will actually affect, as with most of the things on this details page, the meta information. So if I flip over to the metadata, I can see that now Windows tested is true. In fact, I have not tested that right yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and unmark that, flip back over to the meta, and see that Windows tested is false. So the point here is that if you need to change any of the meta information, the description, this is a little preview of the about, but if you want to actually edit this, it supports HTML formatting in the about, so you can explain how to use the bundle. In the references tab, you can create an array of references. So if I, for example, wanted to put in Carafe FM and commit that. Now if I look at the meta references, there's an array with that URL. And if I look at the details under the About screen, the references get enumerated as hyperlinks on this little preview. Moving along here in the Settings tab, there's the possibility that the implementation you're doing needs to use a different bookend, which is the markup on either side of your merge fields, which serves as a delimiter to make them unique within the template. And if you do need to change that, you can simply modify that. For example, if we wanted to use double asterisks here instead of double underscore, we would modify that there. Then of course, our preview will be broken because it's going to try to look for that. So if we refresh the preview, we're going to see our merge text unmerged. It's expecting the double underscore on either side of our merge text. And we've defined within the meta, so switching over to the meta, we've defined the bookend as double asterisks, so it's not currently resolving. Now, on anything that's even slightly more complicated than this, I wouldn't edit it directly within FileMaker, but again, just to illustrate the point of how you can configure things, it is technically possible. There's no reason why you can't edit here in FileMaker. It's much more error prone and it's much easier to edit it within proper code editing tools. But for the purpose of illustrating this, I'll just fix the title and not the message. Go back to the preview. And now you can see that my double asterisk merge field is resolving and my double underscore one is not. Double asterisks will be our delimiter for our merge fields. And if we fix that, then now everything continues to work as we previously intended. If we wanted to put in another reference, it takes, it's expecting fully qualified URLs in here. So if we go back to the About, we'll see that gets rendered there. And the point of that property is if you go on the website, for example, all this information that you're filling in here is stuff that would help somebody who's going to consume your bundle learn about it. Under Advanced, these would probably be something best left for another video and another topic. Under Miscellaneous, this is essentially ignored by the parsers, but we don't delete anything. So miscellaneous properties are preserved to make the format extensible. All right, so probably the more likely way that you'd want to edit anything to do with the actual implementation is to use a code editor. If we look at the online option, it gives you a little bit of help text here. You just click OK. You can see that our bookend's double asterisks. And if we look in our template, we can see that our bookend is double asterisks and everything is valid, everything is rendering. So let's say we want to go ahead and make a configuration change. Maybe we want to add another property. That's okay. If we want to add another property, we could say we're going to define a message body, and we'll just say that's is data. And if we want that to be the case, then we have to go into the sample data and update our sample data to also have the message body property. And you can see it's really convenient to use a proper code editor, because if you make syntax mistakes and so forth, it will warn you and give you suggestions. Like, for example, like having two message properties in here, it will say, hey, duplicate object key. That's probably not what you want. So it gives you a big leg up over trying to edit it directly in the text field. So let's just say and then if we want to include that in our markup somewhere, that could be either in your JavaScript function, that could be in your HTML, anywhere. I'm going to go ahead and make another div here. Call that message body, and we'll call this message body. So now when we save it, so this little star means that the file had some edit but isn't saved. And hitting Command S just saved my change, and I can just click refresh right here, and that will refresh the whole browser. So, all right, we made a change. You can see that that's a differentiated div that is data. So this will be now something that we can work with over in our bundle and deploy. So let's go ahead and send this over to Carafe. And we're going to go ahead and force push. That's going to overwrite. If we flip over to preview, we have the new property that we've configured. Now, if we wanted to deploy this, we just copy this to our script and go through the deployment process, which is a topic for another session. Now, I'm going to go ahead and close the online editor. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the browser. And I'm going to just talk about two other ways. So the first way is to select local. So we'll go ahead and create a new folder called configure me on our desktop, and we'll see the folder gets created there, and we go ahead and open the folder. Now it's saying this bundle is linked to that source folder. And if we open preview, it no longer says refresh, but it says reload. So if you reload now, it will reload. It'll pull the files in from your source that you've linked to. So if I open that in the Finder, I'll still see the same 5 source files that we expect. You can open this in any editor of your choice for the purpose of demonstration. And if you're looking for a recommendation, VSCode is free, cross-platform, and a first-rate JavaScript editor. So I'm just going to go ahead and open that. Now, if I look in my source and I want to change my configuration, I can see I got message and message body. Those are both data. Title is a config. I'm going to just go ahead and change the config. I also might want to go in and change my sample data for some reason. I might want to change my JavaScript. I might want to change something about my HTML. The point is, I'm in an editor. I can do whatever I need to do in here, and then to test it within this context, you can just flip back over to the FileMaker file and click reload, and you'll see your changes right there. The fourth option that you have for editing bundles is to use WidgetStudio. So we're going to go ahead and just save this bundle out as a file. And let's just look for our WidgetStudio. And let's save out the original version too. I want to make a point about the configuration file. So if you remember, under config, we had a number of other properties on this original one. And if we switch to this one, we stripped it down to just the bare bones of what's required to make it valid. So when we flip over to WidgetStudio, we can import widgets, and here we have the two versions that we've been working on as examples. If we bring in the 201 that we've modified, we will not really see any configuration options available. If we bring over 200, which is the one that has a bit of extra metadata, we're going to go ahead and overwrite. That's okay. I previously imported this one. Those other configuration options are there to tell WidgetStudio about the things in the config. They've got a little function indicator that says that this maps to the is data, and this one does not. So these are both very simple type. If I open up this little thing and turn that on and off, that's toggling the is data. And if I flip over to their inline editor here, this provides some better than a text field, but a little bit less robust than a full text editor. But you can still go through and see all the sources in here. So if I flip back, where's my hello world 201? Flip back to this one and go into the editor. I can still get the job done here. Everything that we did is here. It's just that the additional metadata on the config is not telling their GUI what those properties are, so it can't display it to us in the GUI configurator. But functionally, they're completely compatible. So if I were to go in here and export, let's see, I'm going to change this to 202, do export file, save, then come over here to Carafe and do import 202, open. Here we get a 202 that was round tripped through WidgetStudio. Can be deployed using this deployment technique if you prefer this over that, and they're completely interchangeable. In the next video, we're going to talk about deployment.